BBC News political editor Laura Kuenssberg warned the longer Boris Johnson is unable to lead the cabinet, the more the UK's unwritten constitution could threaten a coup by Dominic Raab against the Prime Minister on new decisions to solve the coronavirus crisis. Speaking on the BBC's coronavirus newscast, Laura Kuenssberg claimed the collective responsibility of the cabinet, mentioned by politicians across the UK since Boris Johnson was taken to hospital to fight coronavirus, is something that could easily turn into a coup if the Prime Minister is out of the picture for too long. She explained, "It's not really clear, it might be clear for now. Yes, the government has got this cabinet committee structure and they know what they're doing right here right now, but collective responsibility is a general description of how decisions are meant to be made in this The cabinet is meant to try to find a consensus. But, of course, the cabinet doesn't always agree, and it is ultimately the Prime Minister's job to be the arbiter. Now, of course, from time to time the Prime Minister might not get their way. If 25 people around the cabinet say no to that one Prime Minister, then they can't just do what they like. But it's a bit sticky to say it's all fine because it's collective responsibility, because collective responsibility in our glorious unwritten constitution is normally used to describe the fact that actually if you're in the cabinet, you've got to suck up government's decision and not be rude about it publicly. But it's a very difficult position for Dominic Raab to be in, and no doubt everyone in government is working extremely hard. Because if he were to say, "Ha, ha, I'm in charge now," that would, as BBC Brussels correspondent Adam Fleming claimed, it would look like a coup. Ms. Kuenssberg added, "Yes. But on the other hand, if Boris Johnson is in intensive care, nobody can pretend that he would be able to be operating in anything like full capacity. And, goodness me, everybody hopes around the country that he will recover very fast, but having been in intensive care, that is going to take some time." She concluded, "There are a lot of dilemmas ahead and there are so many decisions that have to be taken in the coming weeks and months. Questions remain over the UK's coronavirus strategy in the absence of Boris Johnson, as the Prime Minister was spending a second night in intensive care. Mr. Johnson's condition on Tuesday night remained stable as he stayed in St Thomas Hospital for close monitoring. While he was said to be still in good spirits, concerns were raised over when the lockdown measures will be reviewed, and England's chief medical officer admitted the UK has a lot to learn from Germany's expansive testing scheme. But there was cautious optimism from Chief Scientific Advisor Sir Patrick Vallance after he said the fight against COVID-19 could be moving in the right direction. Meanwhile, the first of the NHS Nightingale hospitals, at London's Excel Centre, received its first patients on Tuesday. The Nightingale was built to boost treatment capacity in London, but officials stressed that limits had not been reached at other sites across the capital. There is also treatment capacity available in other hospitals across London to complement the care being provided at the London Nightingale, and NHS Nightingale London. The admissions come just 2 weeks after the temporary hospital with a planned capacity of 4,000 was formally announced, but later than had initially been expected. Later on Tuesday night, President Donald Trump claimed that the UK called the US with an urgent plea for 200 ventilators, as ministers seek to scramble to boost capacity for the sickest of patients. "We're going to work it out, we've got to work it out," he said. "They've been great partners. They wanted 200, they need them desperately." Earlier at the Daily Downing Street press conference, Foreign Secretary Dominic Raab said he is confident the Prime Minister will pull through after a worsening of his coronavirus symptoms. Mr. Raab, who is deputising in Mr. Johnson's absence, suggested the review of the lockdown announced by the Prime Minister when he set out the restrictions would not go ahead on Monday as scheduled. He stressed that they could not consider easing the lockdown restrictions until it was clear the peak of the epidemic had passed and it could be responsibly done. Downing Street later confirmed the review.